So I'm now going to introduce our next speaker. And our next speaker is Donna Hart. So Donna, if you can turn on your video and unmute.
Yes, there we go.
Great, thank you. So Donna is one of our patient partners for Can Restore, and she's a heart transplant recipient living in Milton, Ontario. She's been a member of our Can Restore steering committee for 2 years. She has a lifelong interest in sports, and she's an avid swimmer and cyclist, as you can see from these photos. She's participated in 2 Canadian transplant games and 1 World Transplant Games, and she's a highly accomplished and decorated athlete. As you can see, she's won many medals, so actually 13 medals overall. She holds 7 Canadian age group transplant records. So Donna is going to be sharing with us her story on how COVID-19 has impacted her exercise and physical activity routine and how she's adjusted to the new normal. So thanks, Donna, for joining us, and please go ahead.
Okay, thank you for inviting me. Prior to COVID-19, I was swimming 2 days a week with my swim club, and on weekends, I was cycling with the Milton Cycling Studio. And then on March 11th, the World Health Organization declared a global outbreak of COVID-19. And 2 days later, on the 13th, I received a call from the transplant team to avoid all crowded places. So I canceled all my upcoming cycling visits, and I volunteered at the hospital 2 days a week, and I canceled those appointments. And later in the week, the town declared a state of emergency, and so everything was closed, which included the pool, and the volunteer programs were closed. So I did very little the rest of March. I have a bike trainer in the basement, so I rode that, but usually only for about half an hour. And I found I was spending more and more time on the couch. So in April, I decided to look at putting some structure into my life, and I joined a Strava challenge. Strava is a fitness app called Solidarity. And the Solidarity challenge was to move 10 hours a month by yourself. And the goal was to stay active and be a good global citizen. So I walked around and around the same streets in my neighborhood for 168.2 kilometers. And my preferred route was about 45 minutes long. In May, I took a look at another Strava challenge, and because they did help me quite a bit. And this one, I was walking the same route every day. But it was less. So it was 20 minutes, 4 times a week. And at the same time, I found a beginner cycling program that was based on time and heart rate on Facebook. So I joined that as well. Usually this time of year, I would be walking in the woods, but the woods are very crowded with people who wouldn't normally be there. So I have just stayed to walking in my neighborhood. In May in Ontario presented a number of challenges. I was walking in the rain, the snow, the sunshine, and the heat. Yeah. So the good thing about the cycling program for me was that it got me out cycling on days where I would have normally thought it was too windy. I just went out and stuck with the program, just sort of went regardless. And then, so usually I would do that in the afternoon, and then in the evening I would go for my 2-minute walk. In May is about the time that cycling would start up with the club, but the Ontario Cycling Association said that we couldn't start up because of COVID-19. And I'm used to cycling by myself, but it is also quite enjoyable to be cycling with other people and catching up with your friends. So last week I sent a message out to a couple of my cycling friends and asked them if they wanted to join me. And there were 5 of us, and we went for a ride, and that was quite nice to catch up with everyone. And then on Saturday and Sunday we got together and we went for longer rides. So we did an hour ride during the week and then 2 hours on Saturday and Sunday. And it's not hard to social distance when you're riding on country roads, which is what we do. So I'm very fortunate to be part of those groups because again, it just keeps motivating and keeping you out, getting you outside. So due to COVID-19, both the Canadian Transplant Games They were canceled first, and then early May, the World Transplant Association Games Federation canceled the World Transplant Games for 2021. It was very hard to hear and devastating, even though it made sense. I was looking forward to those. Then Gary Green, who's involved with the World Transplant Association, came to those of us who are on the Swimming Advisory Committee and asked us to think of something that we could get people in the World Transplant Committee and people who've had transplants engaged in, even though we weren't having the games. So we have gotten together on a Zoom call like this last Saturday to sort of springboard some ideas. And I'm very encouraged by how that is going to go. So now it's June, and I did sign up for some June Strava challenges, but honestly, I'm not really focused on them anymore because I'm cycling 4 days a week, so about 4 hours a week. And that is keeping me pretty busy. And I'm not feeling the urge as much to get off the couch. The pro tip and lesson that I learned was that I cannot cycle my way out of a jar of Nutella. Yeah, and that's it about me. I was diagnosed with heart failure at 57, and 6 weeks later after my diagnosis, I was listed for a heart. 6 months after that, I received my gift of life. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Donna, for sharing your story and how you've adapted so well to this new situation. Just a question for you. Social distancing is the measures are being slowly lifted all over. So
yeah.
Feel you would still feel comfortable doing these activities that you used to do, or how do you see yourself exercising, you know, as more people are kind of out there? And
so typically people don't come out. First of all, cycling's really easy because, you know, your bike is, you know, when we don't bike to cross wheels. So it's very easy to keep the distance. And typically people don't come out if they're not feeling well. And I know that some people with COVID are asymptomatic, but we do keep our distance and we're quite focused on that. Swimming's quite a bit different, and I haven't had to swim with anyone because the pools have been closed, because we're like all like in a lane. Yeah, but what they're saying is, or what I'm hearing is that they're more concerned about the change rooms, and definitely like there's a lot of talking that goes on in the change rooms. So we'll have to see how that rolls out, and hopefully it does in September. But I don't feel concerned around my swimming people. I mean, my cycling people. I wash my hands pretty regularly and just am always really mindful of that.
Great. And there's a few more questions in the chat, but I'll read you one about what motivates you to exercise, and do having others around you, does that help you?
Yeah, having other people around me definitely helps, because you can stop with the head games of excuses as to why. What motivates me? So really, it really started when I was 14 in high school, and I'm an ectomorph and I wanted to have legs. So I joined track. And yeah, so it just sort of have shape was what started it all. And then it just became part of my life, and I just really enjoy it, and it's a good friend base for me.
Great, thank you, Donna. There was also a question there regarding feelings of trauma or PTSD.
Yeah.
Yes, maybe
So,
you can also share a little bit in the chat box if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah, I shall.
I'm sure people would love to hear what your experiences have been, and we have other transplant recipients on the symposium today, so I'm sure they'd love to hear what you have to say.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Donna.